give us an update on how many people are watching this, Chris, later on? Okay, so the big stream will be available later on as well after the meeting on online. So first of all, welcome to the meeting. Can I take apologies for absence, please?
I'm not attending.
Right, Catherine mentioned to me she can't attend because of her nephew's confirmation. Otherwise, okay, thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest and items on the agenda. Have there been any written requests received?
No.
Okay, and therefore no request for dispensations. Thank you. Item 3, to confirm minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of May. Are there any record of the meeting, please? Happy? Everyone's ecstatic about minutes. Thank you. And then moving to a public open session. Residents at the back there, just remember the public to open to ask any questions and make any comments they wish. So it's not a face-to-face debate between residents and councillors. So.
Yeah, okay. Double yellow lines outside my house. Highways Department agreed they shouldn't be there. I have it in writing from them they shouldn't be there. They've been removed from the plans. I have it in writing from Stephen Moon saying they wouldn't go ahead outside my property. The parish councillors, after they weren't installed, put pressure on Stephen Moon, who then changed his mind and put them out there. Now, based on the fact that I have in writing they're not going to go there, also Highways Department have breached their traffic regulation procedures because they hadn't written to me within 14 days after they were put down to tell me why my objection hadn't been upheld. Therefore, they're basically illegal at the moment. So it's coming today. I'm giving you the opportunity to have them reduced by about 10 metres, which will, although I never park there anyway, it will give me the opportunity, if I do need to park there on a rare occasion, for me to park there. Because they're only going to be removed from my drop curb, nobody else can park there. So nobody else is ever going to park there, apart from me on the rare occasion I do. Now, I would like you to accept this compromise and have 10 metres of them out of 29.5 metres removed. If you don't, I'll go to the LGO because you're in breach of your own procedures, you know, and I'm pretty confident either through the LGO or through court they'll need to be removed. Okay?
So we won't have a discussion at this point, but we're covering it later on in the meeting. And so that's on line 6 or 2. I think we've all heard what you said very clearly.
Yeah.
And to be clear, when you say LGO, you mean local government ombudsman?
Yes.
Presume.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, it's fine. That's me done.
Okay. Well, please wait. And
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Philip Matthew is the new Borough Councillor for the Great Bartlett Ward, so thank you for coming this evening. The way we've normally operated in the past is when Steve Moon or Michelle have been, if you need to contribute to any items, just wave.
Thank you.
So move on to item 5, financial matters. Consider and reaction following, so 5 bank reconciliations and any accounts for payment. Are they agreed, please?
There is a very strange figure of 956 which will be corrected when the next reconciliation goes through.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. 5.2 to receive the internal auditor report.
Okay, well, I've circulated the AGAR report from that we completed. Internal report from Kathy Riches has found no issues. Just a couple of things she's asked to make sure we do. Put terms of reference on the on the website for the Finance Advisory Group, so I will update it with it on the next agenda to agree again, and just to remind us that we need to put the public inspection dates on the site, which we will do anyway. So that's it.
Okay, so it's the first time you've had this particular internal auditor?
Yeah, and she did go through it very thoroughly.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay, great. Any questions on that? Everyone happy to receive that?
Happy.
Thank you. 5.3 to approve and agree to sign the annual government statement 2018-19.
Again, I've circulated this, just needs signing by you.
Yep. Everyone happy with that?
Very happy.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Item 5.4 to approve and agree to sign the accounting statement of 2018-19.
Same again, it just needs to be signed by you.
Okay, happy.
Agreed.
I'm going to try and ask you how happy you are.
The speed at which you're progressing, Chair.
Not quite sneak something through. Right, okay, so item 5.5 to agree to continue making back payments, so that's automated payments, electronic payments. And again, it's an annual thing you have to do annually.
Yes, we should technically, yeah. So.
Is everyone happy that we continue to make payments by means? Must have happy thoughts. Right, item 5.6 to agree to continue making direct debit payments.
We make them, I don't know, we make them to Way, which is the Anglian Water Business Branch, BT, Bedford Borough Council salaries and associated telecom, and that is for our telephone services. BT is broadband. Okay?
Again, do we agree to continue doing that, please?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Item 5.7 to review the asset register.
All we've done is add on the CCTV cameras on Avon Drive to Waverley Green, so I added that on. So that's what that is.
Okay. And do we note that?
Noted.
Item 6 to receive an update on Woodlands Park and agree further action, and Chris has circulated the report. Chris, do you want to talk to your report, please?
Yes, okay. So we had some conversations regarding the spending of the Ravenston allocated funds. Paul Pace had indicated that he might be available to come along this evening, but he has in any case offered to have an informal conversation with Persimmon on various behalves, just to see if he can unblock the allocated money. We've had money allocated into Woodlands Park for 4 years, getting on for 4 years. Obviously that money is less and less effective every month that we slip. It's just sitting there, it's not generating any appreciable interest, just waiting for landowner permission. So I will go back to Mr. Pace and just have a conversation to see what progress he's making on those.
It's worth saying, just to reiterate the point, that that money was paid, essentially was paid by residents of Woodlands Park, going back some years, and obviously as people leave the estate, if they move on, they've never had any benefit from it.
Absolutely, and there's contributions from Woods and Tree Trust and from BPHA, but obviously it's not great that we're not able to commit to those.
Certainly contact the how we to report every week and push this.
Thank you, Chris. Any
Not
comments?
to try and very frustrating.
Absolutely. So there's a few other issues. Grace Hill development, there was another consultation period that was extended out to the 30th of June. That was really a technicality to add the words "and country park" to the application. So it's 200 dwellings and a country park extension.
And we have that on the agenda.
So that's on the agenda later. I have referenced that. The planning decision is expected 17th of June, according to the website. Maybe with the extra consultation that's no longer valid.
Right.
Snagging lists, there are a couple of items that are outstanding, things like formative pruning on the trees. As you'd be well aware, Chair, some of the trees, particularly on Ashmead Road and Tyne Crescent, actually significantly worse. There's a lot of new shoots growing from the bottom that just need looking at. We were promised that would be done, some of it was done, It looks like some areas are being missed, so we just have to a little bit of support on that. Dog bins is another thing that comes up this time of year. We've reported dog bins on no less than 7 occasions in 2 years. I've had another comment on Facebook regarding the fact that they've emptied one dog bin and not the other next to Pizza Park. So we just need to get commitment that they're going to check all of the bins on a regular basis. It looks like about 2 months would be about right, there or thereabouts. I've been fairly busy dealing with published inaccuracies. We had some confusion on the bin collections on the Borough Council website. One resident and set of crews were confused. There was an attempt to say cardboard waste should be approximately A4 size. That was translated into we won't collect it unless it's less than A4, so we've just sought some clarification and updated the websites. We had the report of the sentencing from the tragic murder on Ashmead Road there in September. Unfortunately, the report went into Bedford Independent and the Daily Mail, suggesting that Ashmead Road and Brickhill was the base for the Blacktop gang, so I've spent some effort there dealing with the various editors. They've both modified the wording to something that's much more acceptable and taken any inference that there's any specific gang problem. They did, both editors checked out with Bedford Police. We've got some very good support from Bedford Police. I've put some maps in here about to do with the yellow lines and your property, Mr. Zanna. Can I request rather that we deal with that as item 2 in this?
Yeah.
Rather than necessarily going over it twice.
Yeah.
So that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Sure.
Did I say that you was cutting down basal growth from trees?
Cutting down?
Yes.
You're reporting that they haven't been done.
Or reporting they hadn't been done?
Yes.
I understood that the Borough Council had ceased to do this some time ago. Is that still the case?
Yeah, if we ask them to do it, they'll do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Sometimes
So if we're aware of trees with heavy basal growth, we can pass it on.
Yeah, when do you want to do that?
What do you do yourself?
Sometimes we do it ourselves, and we throw it in the back of the car, and sometimes sometimes we will report to the council. Sometimes you get basic growth. We had round about Torres Drive, and it's often obscured the traffic, so we get them to do that.
And we've got one up at Swindon,
Yeah.
and then because it's subsident.
Yeah, carrying an axe in the back of the car isn't always recommended if we stop and save powers, but we do it, yeah.
Those videos, yeah.
So there's no issues if we can ourselves, right?
Right?
There's no issues if we do it ourselves.
No, of course not, absolutely not. If you're a parish councillor and you go out and you decide to chop away some basic growth, you get a medal. Yeah.
So we have this volunteering hours.
It's not a big job, and you have the little cutters or something, you do with those.
So, any other questions for Chris? No, thank you, Chris. So let's move on to 6.2 to consider request for 116 Ashmead Road to shorten the yellow lines outside the property. We've heard the gentleman there who's the resident. I know Chris has circulated some comments. Do you want to talk to your...
Yes, yeah. I think the biggest concern I have is returning to a section or to a point where vehicles are forced onto the wrong side of the road. Particularly anything coming from Laxton, and I know some of the stuff that I've sent out in my publication is the map. There's a Google Earth, so obviously you'd be familiar with the original consulted map. there's a 3D shot from Google Earth, and what I've tried to do is understand with a red line. You're welcome to have a look at this at any point. Just understand exactly what the nature of the query is.
Well, it'd be from around there.
Okay.
Well, they're there.
But roughly. Okay. So we're
So nobody
right
else to park there. Nobody else to park in front of my house.
No.
Because I would be parking across my foot curb. So nobody else apart from me.
Of course, and that's a police matter. If somebody was to obstruct.
Yes.
Obstruct
Yeah.
because obviously they're I've also added the result of the consultation in 2018
But
in there.
I don't think really that's up for debate because highways have already said they're not necessary. Highways in their report have said they shouldn't be there.
Sorry, excuse me, sorry, as mentioned at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Well, yeah, I know.
Okay, so
Well, certainly I've not seen a report claiming whether they are or aren't necessary, legal.
Well, I'm more than happy to check the legality of what, I think in view of what Grayson said, we need to check the legality of it. Can you tell us what there was a kind of like a survey done, wasn't there, of residents? Do you remember what the percentages were?
So the percentages for that junction were 80% in favour, that's 33. 4 disagreed, 10%, and 4 abstained, didn't offer any comment at all, again 10%. So 80% of the respondents that took the trouble to respond felt that junction, and generally people, as you work your way into the estate, it affects fewer and fewer people. So you tended to get the strong responses on junction 1. We call this junction 2. Sorry, we call this junction 3. You're quite right. Junction 2 is the flat. So I've raised some concerns that I don't understand what benefit allowing parking there would be when there is drive parking. I would be concerned that traffic exiting Laxton and from the general Laxton direction, which is left on the map, the 2 maps, is by default on the wrong side of the road without clear visibility as it enters that junction. We've already got vehicles generally, as I'm sure residents and yourself will attest, on the right hand side of the road coming down towards your property because of traffic parked up along that long stretch. I'm just very, very concerned that we're forcing vehicles onto the wrong side of the road with unclear sight lines.
So, to be clear though, our position on this item is that we've been asked to comment to tell the Borough Council whether we agree or disagree to the proposition of removing those yellow lines from that position. So the whole question about the local ombudsman is that a matter that's regarding the administration of the Borough Council of the process, not the parish council. So it's simply, there are some of you that's simply saying, do we want to comment on it? Do we want to say yes? Do we want to say no? Or do we want to make any other particular submission?
Well, I have a motion that we recommend that the request is refused on the basis of putting vehicles on the wrong side of the road. It was a consulted item. I feel we should consult again if we want to do anything different, and I'd be worried it wouldn't be fair on other properties in the area that do have yellow lines to start removing yellow lines. Perhaps on a technicality.
But it's the legal aspect. It's highways already said they're not necessary. Legally, your traffic procedures say they shouldn't be there.
Because they weren't there for 2 weeks when the rest were.
Right.
Because
Yes.
were.
So legally,
where
you're in breach.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, as mentioned at the beginning,
Yeah.
and the rules we operate, we have the putting open session earlier, and the reason for that is under the governance procedures we operate under, separate out resident discussion from council discussion.
Right.
So,
Can I respond to that, Chair? Is that allowed? I mean, I'm happy to have further conversations with you on the matter,
let's do that.
But the point here is, we cannot comment on the veracity of whether or not the Highways Department has met its operating procedure. We've been asked to comment. I have some concerns that a number of residents have shared. We've got the results of the consultation, the previous consultation. It's my recommendation, and I will put forward that we should deny on those grounds. Support.
So the recommendation is that we do not support removal,
Yes.
in essence.
Yes.
So that's Chris's proposal. Is that second?
Chair, I'm declaring interest. I'm more than happy for you to make any recommendation you want, but in view of the fact that I'm the council, I need to probably declare this, but what I will say is that it's important for me, I think, just to make sure that we have checked that the legal process for the traffic regulation order is correct. And I certainly will give you that assurance.
But that essentially is a borough council matter.
Yeah.
About legalities. From the council point of view, we just simply say, do we agree, disagree, or not comment at all. So Chris made a proposal and seconded by Nick. Can I see those in favour of that proposal, please? Yeah, that's not, sorry, can I see very clear votes on anybody voting on that? So,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
right, can I see those against that, please? One.
So hang on, wait a minute.
Sorry, apologies.
Hang on.
Apologies.
6. Who's got the hands up? Have you got your hands up, Karen?
Oh, no, I don't know. No,
So it's only
Sorry,
4.
Anne.
Right, no.
How many then?
So Vince is voting against that.
Any abstentions?
Anyone else voting against it? Abstentions.
Yeah. Wait a minute, so 2. Who else? What are you nodding? Which way? Not voting. You're not voting. So that's 3
When you
abstentions.
wave your hand there.
So 3 abstentions and
So that motion's carried.
okay.
Nevertheless, the borough council will make its own decision.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In consultation with the borough, board of borough councillors.
It's not actually our rules. I mean, we don't set the rules on WMS, do we?
No, but it is part of the formal process that the borough choose to follow, that they consult the parish council.
Yeah, we are a consultee on these lines.
Yeah.
So our opinion carries some weight, but a lot of weight.
It has a lot of weight.
Okay, go on.
The parish council, the parish council says they want yellow lines in somewhere or yellow lines removed from somewhere. Changes perhaps to zigzags outside schools, anything like that. Then it's unusual that as a council would say, well, we're not going to do that, because the whole point of having a parish council is to develop decision making down to a local level. And I think it's really, really important that if you've got parish councillors who are elected parish councillors who know what problems are in an area, and borough councillors that those people listen to. So they're always given a considerable amount of weight. It's very unusual.
Yeah. All right, Charlie, thank you. So that's the end of item 6.2. So we're going to move on to item 7, to receive a report from borough councillors. And we've had a report submitted from the Charlie just sent out a report for the Brickhill Borough councillors. So Charlie, thank you for that report. And look, you want to talk to your report?
I don't just want to talk through the report, hopefully everyone's had it, but I just wondered if there was something I can add around the Grace Hill planning application, but if you'd rather I add it in the next, on item 9, then I could do. I've spoken to the case officer just to update myself, and also I've obviously got what Ravensden Parish Council have said about it, so I can either mention it now or later, whichever is best for you, Chair.
Okay, we'll do that under item 9 then. Anything else to say?
No, other than Councillor Moon has said that he can't be here. He's just recovering from an operation, so it's just needs fine.
Thank you. Any questions for the sending our best wishes? Sending our best wishes to Stephen?
Thanks.
I'll second that.
Who's going to take the flowers?
Steady on.
Chocolate. Seriously, okay, makes good recovery.
Yeah.
Thank you. So move on to the Brickhill Borough Council's report. And then Charlie, do you want to talk to the report at all?
No, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from for Wendy and Charlie? Given that I haven't actually read your report.
It was a very comprehensive report, so there's not necessarily any reason to have questions.
Should I minute that? Yeah. I'll abbreviate it.
Nothing for Charlie?
Nothing further to add, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much for submitting the report, though. That's very kind of both of you. Okay, so moving on to item 8, to receive an update and agree any further action following the recent encounter on Foster's Brow.
Shall I say what Lee Franco came back with?
Yeah.
I did circulate it to say basically we'd already supported in the past any further injunctions that the borough would aim for, because we've been asked to do that not long after Raven Green visit. And so he's come back and basically said they're currently in the process of applying for further injunctions. Basically that's it. Thank you for offering support, and this will be an area that they're able to cover in those injunctions.
So the challenge with that is that there's been a court case recently in which there's been, is it Merton or somewhere down South London, where those have been, I don't think set aside, but they've been found not to be enforceable.
Yeah.
And it's blanket injunctions against people further unknown.
Yes.
So we've been hoping that the injunction would be a really effective weapon. But it's sounding as if it's not.
So when the unlawful encampment took place at Golden Green, there was an injunction on Golden Green, and so we asked the police to move in and move them off because they were clearly committing a crime, and the police refused to do so. So we're left with a situation where we've got about 7 injunctions in place already, but we don't know actually how effective they're going to be. To be fair, we haven't had a lot of incursions on those sites. So it may be that the travellers themselves are deciding that they don't want to use them, don't want to test it too much, just have that one on Golden Green. But nationally there is this concern now that persons unknown is not going to be a satisfactory designation for an injunction to be valid. So the council's in a situation where it's saying, let's see what happens as that goes through the sausage machine before we decide whether we're going to actually take out any further injunctions. That's why an injunction hasn't been taken out on Brickhill Drive. The question that I wanted to ask the council was whether or not, as a council, we wanted to put in any protective measures, because where we have got protective measures, they've not always been successful. An example would be on Wentworth Drive, where large amounts of bunding were put in, a gate was put in to access the green grass beyond it, which you have to do. You have to have an access so that ambulances can get through and rescue people, so the grass can be cut, maintenance, all those kinds of things. And all that happens is they come along and cut the locks and they go in. Donington Green, massive amounts of protective measures put in. They just break the locks and help themselves and go in. So it's not obvious that just putting in protective measures is going to work. They take with the JCB and Wentworth Drive. There's all kinds of stuff they do to get around them. However, if we don't put in protective measures, the local community may think that actually we don't care. We're not doing as much as we could. So it could be that we could plant trees. It could be that we could do bonding. It could be that we could put posts. All these things are on the table. The council may be prepared to contribute towards the cost of doing that. Bonding isn't as expensive as other things, but it can look quite unsightly. I mean, if you drive down Wentworth Drive now, you don't have that beautiful green open space to see as you go down anymore. You just see, bunding with a bit of weeds and a few trees and things. So I'd like people's opinion before we pursue it any further with the Borough Council.
Can I just add to that comment? Thank you, Charlie. Wendy, Tim and I were at the priority setting meeting in the Tavistock Community Centre earlier this week. The police meeting with the police and residents covering Harper, Brickhill and the Paris wards. And Rachel Glenn Denning, I think it is, who's the chief inspector or acting chief inspector, she's covering the urban area, was there, and she commented on the problem we had at the top of Brickhill Drive. And I know, Wendy, I think you responded to her, didn't you?
Yes.
But essentially, she was suggesting that the reports didn't get through to her properly, and which I think we disagree with. But there was a suggestion she made about having a meeting to really try and nail what happened and what should happen in the future. And there were some residents present, quite a few residents from Brickhill there, but also a few from nearby parts of Harper, from the top end of Brickhill Drive, were in Harper. And obviously they were getting quite exercised about it as well. So, in my view is, I take Charlie's point about the funding. I mean, I just think essentially it's a deterrent. It can't stop incursions, but it can deter. And I think what's happened, what we've seen in Ashmead Road has been effective over the last few years. We've not had any further breaches since the posting was in place on the gap. Anyway, let's open the comments, please. Jim.
So separately to that meeting, I had a meeting with Virtual Planning to discuss the travellers. And the first thing is that the point about the communication is that the assertion is that so there were two lots of travellers in this instance. There was the first lot who there was a site inspection, and then there was a second lot turned up on the Sunday, I believe. And the notification from the council officers to the police went apparently by email to local Glendale because she'd done the site inspection. Unfortunately, that's not monitored at weekends. So if that communication had gone by phone to the duty inspector at the time, then there might have been more action from the police on that Sunday, and we could have seen the police vans being used potentially. So that's one point. Second, I think the second point to draw out is that the chief inspector who made the site inspection, did not treat that site as primary land, which is what I suspected.
Exactly.
So according to the policy that's been drawn up with the police and with the Borough Council, sites are divided into primary land where you will get moved on straight away, pretty much. I mean, the presumption is that you will get moved on. And secondary land, where the presumption is you probably won't. And because this area of grass was not treated as falling under the definition, that's why the travellers were not moved on. So that's the gist of it. I guess one option to consider is to do some sort of development there to make that site more like primary land. We could look at that definition and, I don't know, since when was it?
It is primary land.
Yeah, well, that's the option.
But that's
Is to go and negotiate with the police and improve that definition.
I mean, the key thing is because of the scale, there's a lot of youth activity. So young people use that area.
Yeah, I mean, I raised with them straight away is that they go and do this inspection within the first couple of hours, and they say they're not causing any problems, they're not making a mess, they're not doing this. They don't go back in 2 days' time or next time and see what they have done. And also, I was very angry, and I said to her that there was no response when the report went in about the burglary. And they said, because, did anybody see it? Did anybody actually see the people doing it? But the fact that they didn't respond and they went in on the same day, it's just not acceptable. You know, young people and that, and they just, and didn't they? They were saying, well, did anybody actually see them do it?
So people heard the angle drive, though, whatever it was they used to cut through the.
Because all carried on with those, don't they? Oh, it's just ridiculous.
But if someone did anyone phone 999 and they had it?
I don't know.
Because that would be well.
That's what I say, 999.
Yeah, okay, right. Anyone else want to comment on this? Stuart?
Well, in my experience, tinkers go for the softest target.
Yeah.
So if you have nothing in place, or they know they can get away with not being moved on for a week or a fortnight or whatever, that's a soft target. So that's where they come in. So anything that you can do that discourages them and in effect moves them on to the next target in mid-depth or wherever, and so be it. I mean, this is a summertime problem that's going to happen every year as the tinkers move in from Ireland.
Yeah.
And it will disappear in autumn and we'll go back again.
Okay, anyone else want to comment? Chris?
Can I just remind councillors that this is live streamed, and if we can possibly avoid informal names for groups of people, we will get a deluge of complaints if we're not very, very careful but accepting what you say there. I'm not a fan of bunding visually. I like the effect, but the bunding on Ashmead Road it's not great. When we mow the grass behind it, by definition it can't be mowed for bunding. Some people like it, that kind of wild look, other people complain about it. It's a necessary evil, visually I'm with you, Councillor Ryan.
Okay. So we need to make, do we need to make a recommendation or a request?
Well, I'm going to go and see Chief Superintendent Boyle. I've got a meeting with him in a week to ask him why he's not treated as primary land. Because it blatantly and obviously is primary land. It's a recreation area with scouts next door and the allotments. It's right in the heart of the community. We spent many months negotiating that document with the police and have just given it scant regard. I was very, very disappointed at the action of the police. They should have moved on quickly, and that would have avoided the scouts losing all their equipment. We know that a piece of borough council equipment, very costly agricultural equipment, was stolen and recovered the night that they left, and recovered down at an encampment down in Swindon. So there are a lot of dots that you can join up here and see that we've been victimised as a community, and it's unacceptable. And I don't know what language you'd want to use in relation to the people who came, but what is absolutely transparently obvious is that these weren't what we would call gypsies. This is an unlawful encampment, and they left behind huge amounts of rubbish, excrement, and criminal damage. The likelihood is that the people involved were also committed a burglary. So our community should not have to face that. And so I'll be asking for to reduce the crime line. If you said tonight you wanted to put up bunding or trees, then we can look at some quotes. But I just think it's sad that the community gets an unsightly bunding or posts and all the rest of it that you can't mow properly, and gets the crime of the green area.
I mean, to follow that on, I mean, bunding is ineffective anyway, because you have to have an access point to get your vehicles through, and they know that, and they know they can break in through that access.
Yeah, someone fell over and looking on one of these green areas, and there was bunding and they couldn't get an ambulance through, the council got sued.
So the comments been made to me that, for instance, if there was bunding around the green area, but with the access that is required, was sort of towards the right-hand side of the back of the site, towards just in front of the trees, that would be okay, because essentially, think about the nature of when the travellers came on site, towing caravans, the caravan is a limitation. You wouldn't be able to get it round, if there's a narrow gap, you wouldn't be able to get through that with the caravan. Sorry, mate.
Oh, just to say, there was also, there were residents at this meeting from Eagle Gardens and Godcrest who are very concerned. The people that live up there are very concerned about the whole matter.
I thought the ones that were most vocal were the ones from the Harper side of the hill.
Yeah, but they're up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Okay, so we need to make a recommendation if we choose to do so.
We haven't mentioned that we're pursuing CCTV. This is something we didn't get a chance to mention first.
I was going to mention that next, because I have. Do you want to finish this bit and then I'll go on to that bit?
Yeah, because my feeling is that all of these mitigation measures, the site is huge.
Yeah.
It's going to be very expensive.
Yes.
It's going to be ineffective.
Yeah.
We're doing the CCTV, which has a chance of saving the scouts next time. And the actual answer is this liaison with the police to sort out this definition.
Yeah, can I follow that on, because this is absolutely germane to the point. Because if you have CCTV and you are able to get a recording of them doing criminal damage, then that is something that the police would have to take.
That is exactly what the police need to be able to use. Well, firstly, it would help them use their powers, and it would mean you could prosecute any.
Yes.
But the difficulty is, it's fields of view. It's what can be seen from any particular camera. You know, if you look at where the scout hut is, look at where their storage container is. It's tucked away.
Yeah.
You know, if you put it on a lot of the side, you wouldn't see anything from, you know, you wouldn't see the front of the storage container. So it's quite tricky. Right.
Where are we sighting the camera?
We're not at that point yet. So that's why I said if you sort out the issue of whether you're going to talk about funding, because it won't affect that area. The camera, if we talk about cameras, it will be the scouts and the allotments. It will not be looking on that green area.
Okay, so what we could do is we could move our camera, when we have a camera, we could move our camera off the main road up to these regards. At least then you get number plates, see that they don't like being observed.
Exactly.
So
that's a mobile.
Yeah, we could do that immediately, that's what I'm getting at, until such time as we could put some better observation methods in place, and that might just deter them a little bit. And we could put some signs on the site, actually. This site is covered by CCTV. So we could do that within a week. Should we do that?
Might suggest when we do put signs up, we put a very large sign.
Yeah, okay, we'll request that. We'll be happy with that.
So
we'll do that now. We'll do that now.
Thank you, Charlie. So come back to the question of considering any physical barriers. Do you want to think about that now, or do you want to ask for any quotes, or do you want to just leave it for the moment?
Rather than raised there, what about a trench? Because I think the bottom one is dry, just looks terrible.
You have to have it raised, otherwise you just put a plank across and drive over.
Yeah, but when the bottom of the trellis is a mound, and the shrubs never grown on it, so just use a storm.
And that boundary is not a barrier.
No, exactly.
But we are talking about deterrence. On that run. So how about suggesting the Borough Council look at some prices for the different alternative options for creating some forms of physical barriers in addition to the other stuff? Because, for instance, if you talk about trees, you know, if you put in sapling, you're not going to put in mega trees to start with, are you? You're going to put in fairly small ones, which would have, presumably, some sort of post to protect them. Sorry? Well, we're talking about deterrence now, so what is what's the cost of that?
About 300 quid a pop.
So do you do that, or do you just put posts in, or do you come back to the bonding issue? So what are the different prices?
If we're serious about doing that and getting the primary land, I mean, I think what you said was very sensible. If we get the primary land, we get CCTV. We might not need all these measures. If you want, nevertheless, to get costings, I can get the costings for us, but it's not cheap.
The best deterrence is the certainty of being caught. That's the best deterrence.
So do you want to hold fire on getting quotes for the physical barriers for the moment, and just focus on
the cameras and let the police understand how disappointed they
So
are.
let's see the outcome for that meeting with the police. Let's see if we can get that designation clarified or confirmed. Because we'll just reiterate the point. On the previous times when there's an unorthodox encampment there, the scouts had to stop having a meeting for a while an encampment was taking place. There were concerns around safety because there were some large dogs who lived on the site, and so they had to stop holding their first meeting for a while. So, you know, there has been a direct impact in the past on activities of the scout group on that site because of encampments.
Something's got to change, hasn't it, with the relationship with the police? Because we are sending them stop pro forma letter telling them how disappointed we are that they haven't acted again, and we get one back which is equally stop, I think the key is trying to work at that relationship and building the trust and trying to get to a point where they understand that we need them to act.
Yeah, I mean, we've been dealing with Charlie recently, haven't we? He's a good bobby, and if you can get a decent relationship with individual bobbies like that, it's very helpful. The trouble is, when for a Section 61, it has to be an inspector above, and it seems they lose their brains once they go above sergeant. It's frightening.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't help the fact that they've just changed. You know, we started forming a relationship with
And it's
Inspector Railing.
And it's only temporary. It's only acting.
Right.
That's not coming.
Okay, so to summarise then, Charlie's having a meeting with Chief Superintendent Boyle. Tim's had a meeting already with the Director of Engineering, which is great, but let's try and get that clarification about the site, get it defined as priority land, which would hopefully allow them to use their Section 61 power pretty much immediately. And meanwhile, Charlie and Wendy will request the moving of their mobile camera to cover the site if you need.
Yes, I think that is key to the relationship with the police as well, in that the police are interested in evidence and we're able to offer hard evidence for them camera.
And again, I think maybe you need to spread the word, but in terms of the problem that happened where apparently the emails went in and they're not being monitored, if the advice is we need to phone 999, because actually there's a point we made a meeting, wasn't there?
Yeah, 999, not
199. When in doubt, phone 999.
It's, if there is an ongoing crime, then it's 999.
If it's even a concern about possible crime. That's what Charlie Crozier said. I think, or the lady, Emma.
If it's in progress,
No.
and someone's in danger, then yeah, 999, that's absolutely fine.
But not if it's happened.
Short question. Police suffer a rent crime, not respond to what happened.
There you go.
You're going
Right,
back.
anyway. So
You're talking about proper police work now, isn't it?
Good prevention.
That'd be nice. Not what I do.
Right, I've made contact with Danny, who deals with us, Hamilton at CCTV Control. He has said to me that he will get back to me with some dates to meet up and have a look at what the options are. But at the moment, the CCTV control room are reviewing all their connections and are coming back to the control centre. So until they finish doing that, they're not looking at any more options. So once he comes back, if I don't hear him another week, so I'll chase him.
So it's like the question is, do they have capacity to?
Well, I think that's what he's saying in terms, but that's the technical terms he's saying. They're looking at really assessing what's happening. So what he'll do is he'll come back to me in due course with some dates to meet up. So if I don't hear, I'll chase him. Okay. But there are not many options up there. There is only one light, which is on this scaffold, and it's not terribly tall. So unless they were able to put some extension onto it that would enable it to be higher, because it's within reach. So if you had a camera on there, you could literally step on something and take it. And of course, if we wanted it to cover the allotments, we would need it to be higher up.
I work at ARA, just around the corner of town. We've got 20 hours security there and CCTV. Would the possibility for ARA? Because I know that they respond when there's problems on the industrial estate, because they've got CCTV around. If they see something that they do, that's the contact with police. It's just a thought.
So we had this with Woodlands Park, if you remember, rather than backhauling it over the microwave, they will drive hop on back to central town. And they were very, very concerned at the perceived integrity of evidence. That's the reason they gave. So all of those channels are encrypted, they go straight to an impartial third party. they really wouldn't entertain a conversation about using my broadband even with their encrypted kit to get back into
But
the...
given that ARA is a, you know, it's a separate, there may be a difference between a company and a personal camera. Yeah. So it's worth, it may be worth asking the question. And if ARA should be...
Larson on the industrial estate, and again, I picked it up. It was reported, and it was appreciated that I did.
So I'd be interested to know, has any camera evidence from your CCTV system have been used in for any form of prosecution as evidence? Would you mind inquiring about that? Otherwise, it'd be great, you know, to have a nice neighbour, because obviously you're adjacent to the allotments as well as, so not that far away from. So, action agenda. Thank you very much. Shall we move on? Right, so we're going to move on to item 9 this is the planning application for Grace Hill in Ravensbourne. So this is the technical update, but essentially they're looking to change the title of the application to reference to the country park. Which I found a bit weird because it's still mentioned within the detailed specification. It seems to be primarily a title change as I mentioned. Do you want to talk to come back to your report here, Chris?
Yes, yeah, there was another amendment which was relatively, I think was relatively minor.
Yeah.
It's confirming the swept curb for the bin lorry for the proposed roundabout at the top of Grace Hill, just to make sure that could get round and onto the estate. So that was a new drawing that appeared.
So the question is whether we want to submit any additional comments onto this planning application. Did you discuss it at planning committee tonight?
We did.
Did you agree with it?
Wasn't really anything to say because it was just the narrative has been amended.
Are we happy not just to, you just know the item here, but don't submit any further comment? Everyone happy with that? Can I just mention that I went to the local plan inquiry this afternoon and commented on, obviously I just said, look, we've submitted our comments on the local plan 2030, which I wasn't going to repeat everything that had been said in our submission, but I just reiterated the point that in relation to this particular plan application, we were not in favour, essentially we opposed 200 houses. And I made some of the points that we made in our submission to the borough. So we shall see.
Well, I was just going to just say that I don't know whether it would be useful for you as a parish council just to know what Ravensden Parish Council also thought about this. They have asked that I call the application in. It will go to committee anyway, but they just wanted to do that formally. So I did speak to the case officer, and when I spoke to him, he said that I think although the determination date is, it says online that it would be the end of June, but it won't be in reality. So I imagine they need to update that. But the issues that Ravensden raised, their primary concerns were around the roundabout, the position of it, and also the lighting. And I know that's something that from your previous minutes I've seen those are concerns of yours as well. And they also wanted to see if there could be a provision of a footpath to connect everything up better, so a footpath into Ravensden as well as also into Bedford. They haven't formally submitted those comments yet, and I have told them obviously there is a revised deadline. So the case officer asked that they put that in writing, so I've told them that that's something they could look at doing. And they are also in general concerned about the traffic along Cleat Hill, but obviously they are more accepting that the housing will come forward because it's a different impact on them, but certainly the roundabout and the impact of that is something that both parish councils are concerned about. So I'll sort of keep liaising, but I don't know if there's any point in you reaching out to them. But the case officer said to me that he's working with his colleagues on that to see how they can minimise the impact, and I will obviously keep monitoring it.
I think the only comment I would make, quickly. So the question about connectivity, so you mentioned about a footpath between that development going back into, say, towards Rains Crossroads.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's quite a long way down the hill towards that. And essentially, I guess my take on it is that there's only limited pot in planning gain. If we were to, and I think we've commented about using some of that money towards either a connection to put in a proper footpath across the bottom of Flinders Common to allow kids to get to Mark Rutherford School, and equally for use on average speed cameras on Ashmead Hill. So the trouble is, if you start chipping away at that pot for different things, you'll end up, you won't be able to do everything.
Yeah, and I think, and that's why I wondered whether it's worthwhile the parish council sort of discussing these things together to make sure no one's compromising each other, and perhaps your priorities are more of a priority to you than theirs is to there. But certainly the roundabout is and also the gradient of the road coming out of the site, I should have said, is a concern to everybody. But I obviously represent both sides, so in terms of geographically. So I just want to make sure that what I'm saying tallies in.
Thank you. Chris.
So if you're happy to set up informal conversations with Driggs, then I'm happy to be involved in that. One of the points to note is after our comments went in, there was some acknowledgement from Anglian Water as to the inappropriate drainage on the site and our queries of sewage routing as well were also corroborated there. So other organisations are taking note of the comments we're making, so it is absolutely worth making these comments.
I made the point about the exploding manhole covers today. Why not? And also there was discussion around the whole impact of potential flooding on the whole brook down towards Reynolds and Goldington direction as well. Okay, so are we happy? So should we note this, but we don't submit anything in addition? Planning committee, are you submitting a comment on it?
I think we'll probably say that we have no further comments.
that's right.
Right, but that's the planning to do. We won't do. So we're happy here to just simply note it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Item number 10, consider contributing to the cost of Abbey Street Cameras and Brickhill Drive and agree action. So we've had previous conversations around Abbey Street Cameras within Brickhill Ward itself, and
well, thanks a lot. Brickhill Drive is an area which really does deserve average speed cameras in view of the fact that there have been many accidents, indeed fatal accidents, and we get lots of requests for average speed cameras at that location. Parishes which contribute towards the average speed cameras, which are currently coming out about 70k a pair, will obviously be given priority, so it would help if some contribution can be made. And parishes are typically, some parishes have, Oakley, I think, have spent 160,000 putting in a whole ring of cameras. Reynolds have done the same, buying whole sets. But a contribution would be helpful, I feel. I'm not going to tell the council how much that should be. I just make that observation, and I hope that you might consider that would be a useful use of our resources.
So the champion.
Well, I would like myself to see the cameras extend to the whole length of Brickhill Drive. Which
on average speed.
Yeah. But what happens on the embankment is that you have 4 cameras, and essentially you determine the speed between the given areas. So you do for the top of Brickhill Drive, which is where people go back up by Eagle Garden, down to the bottom where it generally speed accelerates and they go down past Ruxmead. That's where the last paper was. And then, but we're also getting lots of complaints about the bottom stretch of Brickhill Drive.
Where the existing cameras are.
Sorry, it's not cameras.
Flashing lights.
Flashing lights.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be determined by the proper engineers who go out and do the assessments. But I would like to see both stretches covered.
So do we have any data on speeding?
Yeah.
I mean, has been data collected in the past?
Oh yeah.
So I think that what I'm trying to get my head around is, within Brickhill Drive, we've got the 2 mini roundabouts, and you've got the traffic lights in Brickhill Drive, junction with Larkway, which all those have an impact on speed. So though you may have a perception of high speed at different parts of the road, and maybe different times of day, you know, it may not be necessarily.
Well, I can tell you that the speeds are high, and the accidents are high, and the use by children, etc., is high. So if the parish council were contributing towards it, I think it would go, you know.
I think the point that Mark's making is that if you come down the hill at 50 miles an hour, but if you stopped at the red light at Larkway, it's still illegal.
Yeah, but you're not talking about the average speed. But you're not talking about the average speed over that whole distance, Street. You're talking about the average speed coming down the hill.
I thought when you said the average speed, you look at the average speed between
the exact locations of the camera could be decided by professionals. However, if I were doing it myself, I'd put a camera up at the top by Eagle Gardens, and I'd put one down the bottom, but it's just beyond the pond.
Yes, okay.
Right, so that would box that section off.
Come down there at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, that would box that section off. And then I'd put another camera on the other side of the mini roundabout beyond Linnet Way.
Yes.
And it would run down past Mallard Hill.
Yeah. And
it would stop either before or after the traffic light.
Okay, so my question basically is, if you come down the hill at 50 miles an hour, and then you stop at the traffic lights for 5 minutes.
Well, you've got to rights anyway, because you've gone past road speed at 50 miles an hour.
So you'll still be picked up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I was just going to say, I mean, I come out onto Brickhill at the roundabout from Kestrel, and I would say about 7 out of 10 cars don't use the roundabout, they just go straight over it at a speed, and it's quite frightening.
Well, the experience I had is I came down the hill and I went round the roundabout, as you should, and somebody behind me decided I obviously was going to turn left. So she, as I went round it, she met me and she'd gone over it with, she was obviously going to school with 2 quite small children in the car. And as I hit the side of the car, there was a young child sat in the front seat, and I came so close to slamming into her, because I was obviously going round and round her, and she was going, they don't go round it. I think it's so interesting.
Right, Chris.
I'll be worried with what you propose there, Charlie, that if you're going to do that, I think you need another couple of sets of cameras that take you along Linnet and along Avon Drive, because the speeds along there are quite high. It's just
I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's the cost.
And the problem is if you make the bottom of Brickhill Drive less attractive, they're just going to come, all of the traffic that's going along Wentworth, up Kimbolton Road, it's all going to turn left and come through Linnet Way, Avon Drive, back onto, potentially, I'd be worried that you would just move the problem.
Not to say you couldn't continue to. Not to say you couldn't do one chunk and do another chunk later. You know, so you could progressively, if you agree in principle to doing this type of thing, you can start off with it and then move on. Can I just check? So obviously in our budget this year we don't have any provision for this, Charlie, this financial year. Is it correct to say that the way the Borough Council is financing this stuff is essentially opportunistic? So when they have cash available, they're making they're putting money out there for
what's happened in the past.
Yeah. So in terms of if we were to agree to do anything,
it's not going to come out this financial year anyway, probably, Mark.
Right.
Because the last sets that have been ordered or requested and agreed to, they've gone through a huge procurement process, which they have obliged to do.
Yeah.
Then they've gone through the procurement process. Then other people come back and ask questions, so that's delayed the procurement process. Then they've actually made an award to a supplier. And then now the supplier has been challenged by another supplier to say that they should have won the procurement process, not the other one. So all these parish councils are saying, where are our average speed cameras? Why is the council doing anything? And the council's just caught in this trap, which is obliged. I mean, you have to advertise over Europe for these things, you know, so anyone can apply and come and put them in. So it's just delayed everything. So I suppose now if we're in, you know, well, we're going to be realistic. We're in June. It's not going to happen, is it? We're not going to have to shell out the money. They're not going to be fitted until into the next financial year.
Do people want to get any more information about? I mean, you know, we understand the general principle of it. Do you need any more definitive information before we make any decisions or recommendations?
How much do you think was this?
I want a contribution.
Half of it?
I don't know. It's the short answer. Sorry, Chris, can I just ask, what is the general contribution that parish councils are making then to...
Well, small parish councils have been giving about 10,000.
Right.
Some large parish councils have actually just been by to say well, we're not going to wait for the council to get its money together. We're just going to go in and do them ourselves. I mean, it's a very impressive scheme in Oakley. Very impressive scheme.
Yeah.
Sorry?
So how do they enforce it then?
Well, it's enforced by the police.
Right.
The cameras.
Right.
But they, well, sorry, Stuart, perhaps I can make that clear. They shell the money out to say, let's get it going. And the council loves average speed cameras. I mean, they weren't popular at first, but now everyone loves them. And everyone wants them. And there's about 70 different schemes which are in the on the wish list. So, you know, a set of cameras will cost you 70,000, I'd say. A small parish council would be paying 10,000. But Wendy and I might chip in out of our wood fund, just to show that, you know, we're willing and we want these to happen. Because what we don't want, what the council doesn't want, is to put average speed cameras in and then find that, you know, the parish council or the councils aren't wholeheartedly behind them.
Presumably, we could start with, say, 2 cameras, one at each end, and then add to them.
Oh, yeah. They might be recommended.
Again, I come back to this point I made earlier. Deterrence is the key. If you've got 2 cameras and signs saying average speed, then as far as everyone's concerned, you're being monitored the entire distance.
It's very interesting what happens when people feel that they're being observed with their driving habits. That people have a different approach to danger and speed, and people moderate their behaviour. If you look at manners on the road where there are average speed cameras, manners just increase because people are no longer in that incredible hurry. And I had this argument with the Highways Agency about the bypass, because I thought they should go on the bypass. And they said, oh no, speed isn't a problem, it's because of people cutting in. Well, driver behaviour changes when you moderate the speed. It's like when you go for an aeroplane, people are pushing in front of each other as they're rushing to the tills and all this kind of stuff. If you change people's behaviour, it makes a dramatic impact upon accidents. And so yeah, if you put one in at the top, one at the bottom, that will make a difference. If you put one, just 2 at the top, that will make a difference on that stretch. If you decide you think it's going to divert traffic, if you put them at the bottom, then you just put them at the top. But what I would say to you is, Brickhill Drive is currently an accident black spot, and it would be good for the parish council to get behind the borough council and contribute towards something. Even if it was only 5,000, it would show a direction of travel, and that would be good.
Okay. Any other comments?
Can I propose that we ask the Borough Council to actually kick-start the scheme with 2 cameras to which we propose to make a contribution?
Yes. Do you want to quantify the contribution?
How much is a camera charge?
70k for a pair.
For a pair?
Yeah. Sometimes you do a bigger scheme, it's not double the cost, if you know what I mean. But you're only going.
I guess not to say too much cover, but have we got a 60k capital investment?
Yes, we have. We have money stashed in various pots.
Yeah.
The argument, which we have a highways item for highways in budget. Now, the concern I've always had around big ticket items is that essentially we haven't gone out there and consulted with residents about how to spend those large sums of money. And once you spend, you only spend that large sums of money once. In the ideal world, I would like to have had a local, a neighbourhood plan, which we've done that formal consultation and agreed these are the priorities of the residents, and therefore go and deliver that. Obviously, there's a massive amount of work to do to get a neighbourhood plan. We're not going to get to achieve that for some time yet, because we haven't moved right to going. So the question is, do we go ahead now, based upon our knowledge here as a group of councillors? And
Can I ask a third question?
Yes, of course.
In the light of what I've proposed, if we did have these 2 cameras, which would quite be determined, would they actually replace the winking things that say?
As signs.
I'd recommend that we move it.
I'd recommend that you move it somewhere else, because you won't need them.
Exactly.
The compliance checks when you put average speed cameras in, isn't it?
Exactly.
Is it actually work?
Average speed cameras.
Not the flashing cameras.
They have an impact, but they're not things like this.
Okay.
So on the basis we replace the winking things with the two cameras, then, okay, off the top of my head, why don't we say we'll put in 10k?
Okay, it's been proposed by Stuart, is that seconded by anybody?
I think the difficulty is you won't see it for years, that's right. So we can agree this, but we'll be here in 4 years' time after the next legislative election or something.
Are you going to buy a child if that's sufficient to make the borough council come to the table?
Sorry, you're about to say?
Sure. It will certainly make a contribution, and that will be valued, I'm sure.
Yeah, is it sufficient? That's the question.
Well, it won't guarantee that we get cameras, but it will, help.
Yes, it will move us up the pecking order.
That's true, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
So perhaps we were to say we'll pay for 2 cameras if the Borough Council will meet us halfway, pay for the remaining 2 at the other end.
So that would be 70k though.
Well, it's not a million miles from the 60, but
What I was saying is we start out small with just 2 cameras because the deterrent effect of 2 cameras is quite huge. The deterrent effect of 4 cameras on top of that is not as big, if you see what I mean.
So if you went for 2 cameras initially, which is what Stuart's suggesting, half of that is 35k. Half of it. So 10k may not be sufficient
To get it started.
to get them going. It's where, the big question is, do you want to spend money on this sort of thing?
Yes.
How much? Well, that's a fundamental.
Sufficient to get the borough council to do it, and the unknown question, it's like negotiating with Brussels, isn't it? How much are you prepared to put on the table to get that moved?
It's going to be easy to do a possible price. I think I recommend if you really want to get movement, I suggest you need to increase it from 10. I think 10 is probably not enough.
I'm quite willing to accept an amendment.
Well,
Do we have to actually offer a figure? Or we just say move on?
I think we do, because otherwise it's just a bit vague. We've got to be very definitive about it, really.
Well, the whole thing's vague. I mean, before I agreed to it, I want to see some figures as to actually what the proposed figures would be. As for instance, how much traffic actually goes the full length of Brickhill Drive, or how much turns off. If it turns off before it gets to the second camera, then what does happen to the cameras there? Just things like that. So how many accidents actually are?
Yeah, the accidents generally happen at the top end, coming down towards the shops. That's
Okay, so Tim is going to come out.
Sorry, Tim, I didn't see you quickly.
No.
Sorry,
No. I'm good. So, obviously I defer to professionals on the exact side scheme, but I reckon, you'd cover the hill and stop the speeding down the hill, and that's like a really good thing, objectively. In terms of the money, the situation is, I don't actually have a figure to hand for our total general reserves, but as I understand it, we have in reserve something like more than we should have. We have more reserves than Okay, we have some interesting accounting around this 60k because there's a guidance for how much unallocated reserves you should be keeping as parish council, and unless you designate the reserves, it's actually a bit dubious that we've taxed the residents for all this money, and it's just sitting there in a bank account. So there's at least 60k there that really we ought to decide what to do with it.
It ought to be in a reserve,
So I would focus on principle. I think you're right. We have money. There is money available if we want to do it. So
I would move. I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to pretend it, but I think 60k. we do 60k, the ward funds cover the rest, and you'll actually get some cameras in the next year or so.
Well, that might result in borough doing 4 cameras, or
This reserve amount of money is a backup. How long does it take us to get 60k to build?
So our precept is 121 I think, per year.
Okay.
And how much do we put into reserves per year? We put.
Depends.
Sorry, Mark, I'm spending your money. I'm trying to.
That's fine.
It's just got a funny colour, that's all.
Yeah, I'm going to calculations here. Don't worry.
It's not your money.
I've sat here on this council since 2015, and I think the place that you need to spend money on is on stuff that's actually going to make a difference, something that's going to save lives is worth spending money on. And this is something that clearly I think would, and we've got the borough councillors speaking in favour of it.
Let me ask a question about the 60k, how long it takes to build that amount up, so you don't have to spend it all, you've got nothing left blank for.
Oh right, well just to be clear, that 60k is not all of our reserves, we have quite a lot more reserves, we've got something like 12 months of the preset, we've got not loads of money.
Yes.
You are indicated, sorry, I wasn't sure of you.
So, if we were to commit that 60k or the lion's share thereof, I think I'd want to see some assurance that when we were to put the request in for a second set at the bottom, that it will be recognised that we've paid the majority.
We may not need the second box. As Stuart pointed out.
I think if the parish council put in 60k, I think Wendy and I would raid our ward fund if the borough council didn't put up the set of cameras that we need. I think the problem with dictating places and locations is that the police have to agree them when they have to agree the criteria as being judged correctly. So that all the sites that go in, the police agree them and agree that this is a good place to go. If we said that we wanted them at the bottom as a condition of having them at the top, then it's quite difficult because the criteria might not be adequate at the bottom. They may say, well, actually, in Brickhill, that's not the most important place to put them in. We might be on A1 Drive, or they're coming out of Torrey Drive and they do a big deal on there. I don't know. I think it introduces a complication. That's all I'm concerned about.
I think you could argue that it's a matter of principle if you want to spend money on this type of thing. And then the secondary item is where does it go? So for instance, if we end up, say, the top of Brickhill Drive, but then we end up with Wading Avenue, say, instead of the second set, because we get comments about speeding on Wading Avenue as well.
Well, we get a lot of comments about
it. But essentially,
Calder Rise is a prime example. They razz up and down.
Yeah, certain vehicles. But I think the point I would make is simply, if our money is able to unlock equivalent money from the borough, for instance, that's a win for Brickhill residents, isn't it?
And that's the point I'm trying to make, yes.
Because
we're putting forward.
Yes.
Okay, 50-50.
So, but can I suggest then we're heading in the direction of we're saying Tim is pretty cool. Tim, you need to get this council meeting. It's absolutely fine. It's fine. If you're saying 60k, and then potentially for that to be slightly augmented by the borough councillors if they're happy to chip in to help that, and we then communicate with the borough council to say we're willing to do this. We're looking for, so we're talking roughly in order of 70k aren't we, as contributions towards funding, and seeking the borough council if they're happy to also contribute, for potentially that would then allow 2 separate pairs of cameras.
So what you're saying is we will collectively between borough council and parish council whack up 70k, but we'll only do that if the borough whacks up 70k.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's
dodgy strategy. That's the way we'll go.
Is it dodgy? Well, what do I explain?
But they may not have it.
It's just dodgy. I mean, surely our primary objective is to get one set in, one set. That's a primary objective.
Let's come back. Let me just ask the question again. If you look at the schemes that are going through the system or have been agreed over the past year or so, are those schemes typically funded entirely by parish council, or are they funded jointly by parishes and the borough?
Some schemes are funded entirely by parishes, and some are funded part. Quite a lot of small parishes. If you've got a small parish,
they're not contributing at all. They're getting average speed cameras only A603.
Yeah, that's quite a substantial road with accidents, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So obviously the police have said that's a good thing. The council have looked at the highways issues there and the accident rate. So they're right. And we could not, because we might decide not to contribute anything and wait in the line with everyone else. And eventually, eventually it'll come. It might be 20 years, but eventually it'll come. It depends what we think is a priority of the parish council. And I'm not saying, this is something you've got to do. I'm just saying that if we want to advance up the line, we're a parish council with assets. If we are not prepared to give any of our assets towards average speed cameras, then we can't be surprised that the borough decides that they're going to allocate them elsewhere to other places that either have more accidents and more speed, or places that are giving out of their small amounts.
Okay, Chris.
I was going to say, rather than say we will buy one pair outright, perhaps maybe an alternative way of saying that is we will contribute up to 50% for up to 2 pairs of cameras, and then whether we do 2 and then leave it and see how it is, or whether we look for recommendations as to other locations.
I think that's locations to be determined by the borough.
Okay. Right. That's really interesting.
Can I just say that at our surgeries every 2 weeks, the main issue that comes up from the public, from the village, is speed. It's speed. What are they going to do about speed?
Okay, so we've got a proposition.
They're asking something,
Can we move to we've had a fairly lengthy conversation about this one, discussion, shall we say, sorry. Can we move to...
It's good discussion, Chair.
Discussion, absolutely. Can we move to a vote, please? So,
what?
Well, Stuart's put forward a proposal.
What's he saying?
It's attracted about 17 amendments.
Do you want to restate?
As I understand the proposal as amended.
You wait for the last amendment.
I think Stuart might be willing to amend your proposition to help the meeting.
We initiated dialogue with Borough Council with a view to getting at least 1 pair of cameras, preferably 2 sets of cameras, and in order to advance that, as a sweetener, we put on the table with the Borough Council up to 50% of the cost.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is.
Up to 2 pairs.
Up to 2.
That's what you said.
Yes.
That sounds very useful to me.
And to quantify that, just to mention, that essentially, so that would give up to a maximum contribution from the parish of 60k plus.
Up to a maximum of 60k.
With a 10k
plus
water
parish funds, if you want.
From water funds.
Water funds.
Does that?
Yes, I think that sums up.
Right. Is everyone clear about that proposal from Stuart? Everyone happy with that proposal? Okay, so we've got that proposal. So we're offering to contribute up to half the cost of up to 2 sets of cameras. And with the total cost from parish point of view of up to 60k.
Plus the reward fund.
Which is obviously... Is everyone happy to understand what we're proposing?
You're offering up to 60k for 2 sets of cameras. For 1 or 2 sets of cameras. Yeah.
One set or 2
Yeah.
So the question of the location, we need to get into a bit of a dialogue around that, confirm some communication with the police and the borough highways people about where exactly they would be. Police will get them into the process. Is everyone happy with what the proposal is? And see.
I'm sorry. Very sorry. So the proposal is go on, someone has to take it, but it's basically I'm just to say, are we actually going to get some cameras out of this?
Well, obviously, we hope yes. We're saying we're looking for a contribution. We're saying we're putting forward a contribution towards the cost. So, as Charlie explained, some of the borough council cameras have been put in place entirely funded by the borough council. In other places, some councils are paying for the entirety of this. In other places, it's a shared funding approach.
Well, my view on it is that the residents pay the tax to the borough, pay the tax to the parish.
Yeah.
They don't actually care which of these spots it comes from. We need some cameras. I'd rather they happen sooner than later. So we want to put forward 60k and just get the set. I mean, if you want to go into, if you want to get into a dialogue about having a second set further down the road, then take that up to the borough. Whichever way it comes, I just want to make sure the cameras actually do have.
So probably
within my lifetime.
Your idea gets the cameras. That's idea is a bargaining strategy. That's a difference.
So if you're looking at very healthy, so people
You never know.
look, the issue we have, the challenge we've got. I'm going to take it to a vote in it, but just be clear then, if we pay for one set of cameras and we say we'd like another set please, there's no guarantee the borough council would fund that. Because we're then down at the back and bottom line again. That's why I'm suggesting that.
Your essential is a Mrs. May argument.
I put
all the money on the table
So we have a proposal from Stuart, which is, as we've described previously, for part funding up to 60k from the parish council, roughly 2 sets of cameras. Tim's expressed an alternative proposition. I don't know where you want to. Do you want to vote? Let's take a vote for. Can I see a vote for Stuart's proposal?
Is it the same motion in effect? Because you're saying up to 60k, you're saying
it's not.
Oh, so it has to go 50-50. Yeah, you're you're saying it has to be 50-50. Yeah, I got you. Got you.
Because okay. So we don't. Let's not have to hold the discussion again. We've got a proposal from Stuart. Proposal from Stuart, which covers half the cost for up to 2 sets of cameras, and looking for financial matching from the borough council with a bit of help from the borough council. Right. So can I see those in favour of Stuart's proposal, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Can I see those against that, please?
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh.
You can't put your hands together because we've got
Then you've got to vote.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I can't count.
Heck, right.
Okay, so that is carried. Thank you very much. Can we move on?
Well, then he's got promotion. He's got motion as well now.
I think it falls.
Does it fall? I don't know if it does.
We've just spent that 60k.
You're not going to get the cameras. That's the thing. You're not going to get them.
Well, look, we've had a long discussion.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting we now move on. Is that okay?
Yeah, why not?
We can always have another discussion at another meeting.
Can we come back when we see what the boroughs say to our excellent negotiating?
Yeah.
And how it will be.
Whole of Borough Council speaks their part.
There'll be another election.
Right.
Should I, now I've got to do something, there's got to be some actions, I've got to do something.
Yes, please.
So I've got to write, do I write to John Shortland?
Now, I would write to him because he keeps the list of all the different requests.
Okay.
So it's the growing list of requests.
So we're going to ask him to give us an idea of how this is going to go. Okay, not just say
Tell him what we
He
want
won't be
to
able
do.
to tell you that.
No.
He'll just add it to the list.
There'll be another election.
Right. Okay, everyone happy with that, Sue?
Yes? Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the next item. Won't take too long. Item number 11, the Parish Council resolves that it meets the conditions required to exercise the general powers of competence. This is just the basic way of allowing us to spend money on pretty much anything we want to. Sue, do you want to?
Well, that's it, basically. That's all we need to do. We need to resolve that we meet the conditions, and we do meet conditions because you've got a qualified park and you've got the right percentage of people actually elected, i.e., we've actually stood as opposed to necessarily being elected. So that's fine.
Okay.
That's all you have
Can
to
we
do.
agree, kind of propose that we do adopt the general powers of competence, please? Everyone happy with that?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item number 12, to note gathering green on the 6th of July and any action needed.
Well, it'll be really help will be needed.
Help needed.
As there is one of me, there's lots of things going on, obviously.
And I will be here.
Will you?
I will be here.
Well, I'll borrow Charlie's stakes and tie you down because you've got me.
Okay, so please do help
If
with
you're
that.
winning the circuits. Okay.
Thank you very
But
much.
I'll circulate the information.
Item 13, to review the list of outstanding matters and agree any further action.
Well, the only really, to me, obvious one is the issue with regards the community centre and the lift and the problems about the waterproofing of it. We had an agreement with a company called Cook that they were going to come and do the work on the 15th of May. Part of that agreement was we had to get the company Altis in to isolate the lift ahead of that work being done, and the contractor who deals with the lift alarm had to come in and isolate that. That was all done on the morning, and Cook didn't turn up, the company didn't turn up at all. Sue Stewart, or Woodcraft is it now, I know, made contact with them, and they basically said, oh obviously a huge blunder here, yes, something's gone wrong, and therefore nobody came. The end of that is that we've then got an invoice from Otis for £800 for doing the work that they had to undertake. There's also been £75 costs from the lift alarm engineer, and obviously, quite correctly, there's been a loss of income from the community centre of around £100 for the fact they cancelled classes and various other things on the day. So in total it's £1,280. So I've written to the company, obviously pointed out that I think they should meet those costs, as they've not turned up and have not even given us an apology. And so I've written them today, we've had nothing back. So we may need to think what we'll do next. Obviously, what I will do is settle the Otis bill and the bill for the alarm, because they need settling.
So I think the key thing is we need to get the work done. They are put to a specialist company for that kind of work.
Well, the reason I went to them is they're the only company I could find that did that work. In this country, that is. So we will have to search again.
I think I found the original. So
did you?
I have found, there are others out there, but
Well,
they're only company not on the matter.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would actually, it's very disappointing. And actually, I wouldn't suggest that if we can, we go by the small claims court if we don't get a resolution on it.
Well, I'm going to give them a week, and then I'll write and say we are going to take legal action.
It is outrageous. I mean, it is not just the disruption, but also the cost that we incur. But can we leave that formally?
Yeah, I really wanted to note it that there is, that's what's happening. I think other than that, there's nothing on here immediate. There are some items that are due to come on, but perhaps we'll look at them next time.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Sue. Can we just mention before we go into the next part of the meeting, as discussed, as mentioned previously, Wendy, Tim and I were at the police priority sector meeting earlier this week, and for information, the priority for Brickhill for the next quarter is burglary. There's been drugs throughout quite a few quarters, and essentially burglary has been an ongoing issue, and burglary is related to drugs, but so the argument is the police have been trying to find places they can go and exercise drug-related policing, and we're finding it difficult to find sites within Brickhill to do that. With burglary, we may end up with what we call op vision, where they do this sort of targeted going out into the community, talking to vulnerable residents and trying to offer help to make them less vulnerable to crime. So for this quarter, the next quarter is burglary, for what it's worth. Makes only marginal difference to the overall policing effect within the community, but it's how they're operating.
Does the incidence of burglary increase in this quarter?
About summer, in summer when people have doors open and doors open, potentially. Yeah. Okay. Right. So,
could we take item 15 first, and then we can?
shut off the camera. Oh, I see what you're saying. So just to know then, the next meeting is the Thursday the 4th of July, 7:30 PM here at St Mark's. So thank you, Chris. You want to turn off the...
Do you want to read the public?
Oh, right, I should do. Thank you very much. Yeah, very much. So we've got staffing matters to consider. So, as it's a confidential item, the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, as extended by Section 100 of Local Government Act 22, the press and the public are formally excluded from this item on the agenda. So,